Hey everybody, welcome back to Double Decker Family. I wanted to start this video out real quick by giving you a couple quick updates and letting you know what this video is going to be about. Ultimately, the reason for that is because the biggest update we have is that the bus is still not done. It's a big disappointment to us that the bus isn't done yet. Obviously, we expected to have it done by now, but it's not. So I apologize if that's what you're looking for today. This is not a bus update video. What this is going to show you, however, is some of the ways that we travel while we don't have the bus. And so we haven't let that deter us from getting out and going and seeing sites and going around. So we visited all 29 counties in the state of Utah. And then just this past week, we took a trip down to Houston, Texas to see the Ironman triathlon. Along the way, we had a bunch of different adventures. Those adventures aren't going to be shared in this video either. We'll do those separately. Mostly on Instagram, we'll be sharing some of those adventures. This video is really going to show you three things. One, we're going to show you how we pack up and travel in the van with a family of 8. 2, we're going to show you how we put our family of 8 in a hotel room. It seems to be a tricky thing for a lot of people. And the third thing we're going to show you is really kind of hotel reviews. During this video, we stayed at 5 different brands of Hilton hotels, and we've also stayed at some others at other times, but we wanted to share those little reviews with you. So stay tuned and we'll jump right into the video. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We definitely appreciate all the support that we get from the entire community. We love all the comments and all the reactions you guys give us. Definitely we want to hear from you. So share this with everybody that you know, like the video, and subscribe to our channel. Okay, well, it is like 7 o'clock in the morning here in beautiful Utah. It's October and we are still stuck in Utah. So we were told just the other day that we would not have our bus done, and that's not going to stop us from traveling. So a few people have asked how we travel in our van, how we do long road trips. We don't typically take long road trips in the van. We have taken a few, normally around here because we're waiting for the van. We've just been taking
day trips.
Yeah, just little day trips where we're back here at night, so we don't have to take a whole bunch. But today we are actually going to be taking quite a few days road trip. We'll end up back in Texas and just to see some family and stuff, and then we'll come back up here. Don't know how long it's still going to be on the bus, but people have asked how we pack our van and kind of what we do for our children to make sure everybody's ready to go. So let's go through that. We're just going to do real briefly kind of what we've got in the van, how we pack it up, and I'll let Dina explain that because she knows better than I do.
Okay, so we've only packed 4 days, and then the outfits that we're wearing, so 5 days total for like a 10 to 2 week trip. We haven't decided how long this one's going to be. So each day is packed in a bag. So nobody has an individual bag. We have an individual day bag. So when we go into the hotel, this is all we're bringing into the hotel. And then we also have a separate bag for just swim stuff, and then maybe a few extra spare clothes stuff I have in this bag. So like we have extra underwear and an extra pair of pajamas. I have the extra diapers are in this. So I have just my diapers right here for all my kids, and the pull-ups are right here. So they're easy access that I can just grab real quick if they need to get changed. We keep the snacks in the back here because that seems to be a better solution because we have kids asking all the time for snacks otherwise. So we just keep them in the back, and they can have like chips with lunch. And we also bring, like, we have sandwich bread and things like that in here, and we have muffins for breakfast and sandwich bread, so we can do like on the road meals. And we also have, you can't see back here, but we have these are drinks, like no sugar added drinks that I drink. And then we have bottled water back there as well as water bottles for all the kids. And then we also have a camel back in here for our trips. Inside the car, everybody had brought their own stuffed animal and their own blanket that they're used to sleeping with. A couple of them decided to bring their pillows, which is whatever, as long as they take it in themselves. So they have to take in it just makes it so when they're sleeping in a hotel, they sleep a little bit better because they have their things.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, so when we get to a hotel, typically what we're going to do is we're just going to take one bag inside. So one family bag goes inside with us. So Dina's kind of separated out. Every backpack is a different day. But when we're traveling like this in the van, we are staying at hotels, typically not campgrounds. And so it's just gonna, one bag goes inside with us, and then the kids take their blanket and pillow in with them.
Yeah, and we bring the cooler in as well, which has
Yeah.
like things that we would eat, like lunch meat and things like that, and that goes into the fridge in the hotel, and that seems to work great for us.
And then I want to take you inside the van real quick with the kids so you can see kind of how they're arranged. When we got in the car, we set some expectations with them, and we do this every stop, so it becomes really normal. Dina has less shaky hands, so she's gonna hold that. So when we get in the car, we set some expectations with the kids just so that they understand the plan for the day. So it's 7 o'clock in the morning right now. They know that we're going to be traveling until about 7 to 9 o'clock tonight, depending on how many stops we make. They know, we tell them, like, tell us 20 minutes before you have to go to the bathroom so that we can make a stop, that kind of thing. Obviously, they're kids, so that doesn't always happen. They know that if it's an emergency, they say, hey, Dad, I can't hold it, and we'll find a spot to pull over. The other thing that we do is every time we stop for gas, which is about every 350 miles, so you can imagine that's going to be a few hours down the road. Every time we stop for gas, every child goes inside and uses the restroom. When they come back to the car, they each get a snack. So they each get, chips or fruit snack or something. They each get a snack, and we refill their water bottles so that they have something to drink in the car. And they know that they get those things, they get in and they get buckled. The other thing that's really important with our family, because there's 6 children, we have what we kind of separate out the 3 oldest and the 3 youngest. The 3 oldest are paired with the 3 youngest. So we use the buddy system, and we use that in the car as well. So the oldest is with the youngest, and she will help. So this right here is our oldest, and she will help the youngest over here get buckled in. And
unbuckled when
unbuckled when we stop. Obviously, we double check, and we make sure that everybody is secured. But she's really helpful, and the bigger kids are really helpful, even though they're young. It gives them a responsibility and something to do when they get to the car, so that there's not all the fighting and craziness going on. Obviously, they're kids, so there's still going to be some of that element. So let's go in the van. We'll check it out real quick how they're arranged, and then we're going to hit the road because we got a long drive today. All right, so this is the van we travel in. It is a 2018 Ford Transit T150 that we got from Enterprise Van Sales. It used to be used as a corporate shuttle bus. But one of the reasons we looked specifically for this van is the sliding door, so the kids don't open the door and ding somebody else's car. It's messy because we use it every day.
Well, and normally I vacuum before a trip. It just didn't happen today.
Yeah. So here's the setup, right? In the front, we have our 2nd oldest and our 2nd youngest. They sit there next to each other.
The twins do switch.
Yeah, the twins, they switch back and forth all the time just because they're the same size. All right, and then we have our middle. That would be our middle 2 kids sit here, and they brought their blankets. Everybody brought their blankets and their pillows to travel. It's a little bit cooler today, so Roman's wearing his hat. And then in the very back is the oldest and the youngest. Now between every seat, we also have little cubbies and plug-ins for their devices, whatever. Keep them entertained while we drive. They all bring a water bottle with them. They have a couple snacks that they have with them, little backpacks or whatever of their own to be in the car as we drive. So that is how we set up in the back of the van. And that's it. Now up front, we've got our driver's area there on that side of the car. Typically I drive. Dina is my co-driver, keeping me awake, but also we bring plenty of snacks, and we have our cooler that has all of our cold stuff. In the cooler, we typically night beforehand freeze a bunch of water bottles just so that they stay cold through the day and they keep everything else cold. So that is the front area of the van. Well, that's it, you guys. Hope that was a decent tour of how we set up to go on longer road trips than we typically do. We also obviously use the van for shorter road trips, and we don't take near as much stuff with us.
Hi.
This is how we make lunch while we're on a road trip, driving in the car. Dina's got all the fixins right next to her, and looks like some kids wanted some peanut butter sandwiches, so just peanut butter sandwiches today.
Most of them only like peanut butter sandwiches anyways, they don't ask for anything.
And then I always like, I could just say ham and cheese sandwich or something, so she has those fixins as well, and we'll keep here in the cooler. And this is just how it goes, so we don't really have to do anything. Dina will just take the sandwiches as soon as she's done, and she'll pass them back, just like that. So everybody gets their sandwiches, and we just eat as we go.
To Colette or Abraham?
Sometimes we'll try to do this while we're stopped at a gas station or something, filling up. But typically, just while we're driving. All right, we've made it to our hotel for the night. We are staying at a Homewood Suites in Albuquerque tonight for the Balloon Fiesta. We will be attending tomorrow, so we drove down today. Long 10-hour drive turned into 13-hour drive with other activities. So it's nighttime, it's time for bed. But I've had a lot of questions when we do hotel stays. A lot of people have asked like how we get our family of 8 into a hotel. The first thing is that when we book the hotel, we always book for 4 adults. And the reason we do that is because when I spoke with Hilton Honors, they told me to do that. Basically because I can't select 6 children and 2 adults. There's just no room technically and for them to accommodate that. But when you put in 4 adults, it essentially counts the same. You just do need to let them know at the check-in desk when you come in that you do have however many more actual people, just for fire safety and things like that. They try to keep count on that. And then food in the morning, our room comes with breakfast and whatnot. So the other thing I get asked is really the layout of how we get our kids in here. So with doing 4 adults, we typically always end up with 2 queen beds, but oftentimes we'll also end up getting a suite that has a pull-out couch, and as is the case here tonight. So we've got our 2 oldest that will stay on the pull-out couch, and then as we go to the other room, here we'll have our bed where my wife and I will be between all the kids. And then
this guy normally sleeps up there, but today he didn't want to.
Yeah, so normally he will sleep up on the bed with the other 3 younger kids. Today he said he wanted to sleep on the floor, but we'll sleep the kids sideways across the bed because they're all short enough to do that. And we'll just put the 4 of them up here. So I put 4 on one queen bed, the 2 older ones on the pull out, and then my wife and I kind of in the middle. A lot of suites are set up this way that we've been in so far. Sometimes they'll have like a separate like living area, totally, the door shuts entirely. Depending on our mood, we may like that or not like that on the day. But always the 2 queen beds gives us the youngest 4 kids in the room with us, which is ideal for us. So that is how we set up in a hotel with a family of 8. How we get 8 people in a 2 queen room when we stay at hotels. Our family is me, my wife, and our 6 children. Our 6 children are 9 to 3 years old. So 6 kids in a 5-year span, or 6-year span right now. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you guys as they're laid down for bed. This is kind of how we do it. We have 4 kids on this queen bed. My wife and I will be on this one. And then 2 of our children actually tonight chose to sleep on the floor between the bed and over there against the wall. When they sleep on the floor, we get the extra bedding for the room, and we put that down on the floor, so they're not sleeping directly on the floor. But that's essentially how we set it up. If they weren't to sleep on the floor, if those 2 weren't sleeping on the floor, then the 2 little ones right here, they would sleep over with my wife and I on the bed. We're looking for hotels. I talked with the Hilton Honors program, and they always said, because they're limited, their system's limited on how many people it can accept for a room, because it technically this only sleeps 4 people, but with little kids the ages of ours, it can sleep more. So they've told me just to always put it in for 4 adults, and when you get here, when you get to your hotel, let them know that you actually have, however many more, so that way they have the occupancy. They know what the occupancy of the hotel is in case of an emergency, something like that. But we've never been charged more. We've never had any issues checking in, nothing like that. Actually, sometimes we check in early and we get the digital key because we stay at Hilton's a lot when we're traveling like this. So with that digital key, we can even come into the room without them knowing that we're even here yet. But I always go down and let them know how many people are actually here. It also helps them with if they're doing like a breakfast or something like that, then they want to know about how many people are going to come eat. So it's always helpful to have that information of how many people are actually in the hotel room. Anyways, for any of you that had asked how we do it, there it is. All right, well, we just got back from our 11-day road trip. We headed down to the Balloon Fiesta in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then we went on to the Woodlands, Texas for the Ironman Triathlon, where I had some family participating, and I love being a spectator of that event. So we went all the way down there from up here in Utah. Pretty good trip.
Yeah, I mean, those were our two main stops. We did definitely have a lot of stops in between there.
Oh, sure. We didn't skip out on the national parks and national monuments and just other things along the way. We didn't skip anything, but those were the two things that we were really traveling for. 11 days traveling, and each day, other than the days where we were staying in a location for multiple days, we had 7 to 12 hours a day in the van every day.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. The kids overall were really good. We didn't have like really a lot of outbursts or anything. The twins obviously give us some of the most trouble, but they're not too bad. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Overall.
So I guess we wanted to talk for a minute about like the expectations we have for the kids, and I think at the beginning we talked about how we do bathroom breaks every time we stop for gas, or every time somebody needs to go to the bathroom, we fill up with gas or we go to the restroom. So like there's always a partnership there, and then we typically give the kids a snack at those time intervals as well, and then we've been doing this don't ask when we get there. And
yeah, I think one of the things that we do that really helps is
like our sanity.
Yeah, when we set expectations before we go on a trip like this, one of the things we tell the kids is they're not allowed to ask, when will we get there, what time is it, or some questions like that I know so many parents find irritating and annoying. We just tell them ahead of time, we're not going to answer those questions. We will get there when we get there. Because one of the things with traveling is we like to just make random stops, right?
Yeah.
I can't say like we're gonna be there in 3 hours, because between here and 3 hours, we might find something really cool to stop and see.
Yeah, like a state parks are a little bit harder to find on the map, and so like if we see a state park that looks interesting, like we might just stop there.
Yeah, if we see a sign for it along the road.
Yeah, we may just stop there, and so that kind of changes when we would get someplace. So
yeah, for example, as we were on this drive, we were driving across New Mexico.
Yeah.
And we just kind of came across like this lava field, all the lava rocks and whatnot. And little did we know at all, this was a place to stop. It's called Valley of Fires. We didn't see it on the map when we were like pointing out or drawing out our trip. But when we got to it, we thought, hey, this is pretty cool. And we actually stayed there for an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, it was a longer stop. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
we stopped there. We walked around. We
took a mile hike.
Yep, we did a little mile hike through the lava and stuff, and it was really, really cool. So we just don't deal with those questions from the kids as much, and we set that expectation with them that we're not going to be answering all those annoying questions. And they actually do really well with that, knowing that expectation. If they do ask, we just say, is that a question we ask? Or is that a question that mom and dad are going to answer? And they always say, no. Because they already know the answer. They already know that that's the expectation.
Right, but they have gotten more creative with, if they do ask, they ask other little silly questions about like landmarks they see, or like when will we get to that mountain?
Right. Yeah. So that's always fun to see like their minds working and strategizing how they're gonna just rephrase the question so that we will answer it. So that's pretty fun. Now along the way, we stopped. We went to 5 different brands
of Hilton
hotels.
Yeah.
And so we stopped at the in Albuquerque. Our first night, we stayed at a Homewood Suites. I think it was the Homewood Suites in Journal Center. It was by the Balloon Fiesta Park. And that was a decent hotel.
Yeah.
We liked that one just fine.
Yeah.
From there, we went down to Alamogordo, right?
Yeah, we did.
And in Alamogordo, we stayed at a Hampton Inn.
Yeah.
It was not a Hampton Inn and Suites, right? So we didn't have like the pull-out couch or anything like that.
Yeah, it was just the one.
Just the 2 queen beds in the one room. And that hotel I didn't like as much.
No, I think we've decided we don't really like.
Not big fans of the Hampton Inn.
Yeah.
So from there, we did the Hampton Inn, and then in Alamogordo, and then in Carlsbad, we stayed at a Home 2.
Yes.
And I think we've decided the Home 2 is our favorite. The Home 2 suites, those are our favorite hotels to stay at. They tend to be the cleanest, the newest.
It was less than a year old, so I think that may have changed how we felt about it.
Sure, but I mean, it didn't have a pool or anything, and I know I mean the kids really love when there's a pool.
Yeah.
On this trip, it seemed like a lot of the hotels didn't. The pools were closed, but the Home 2 didn't even have a pool.
Yeah, because it was so new.
They built it during the pandemic, and so they said, "Why even bother with a pool? We can't use one." But ultimately, that was my favorite hotel.
Yeah.
Now, after the Home 2 in Carlsbad, we stayed at an Embassy Suites in the Woodlands, Texas. It's down by Houston. Now, the Embassy Suites, far and away, had the best breakfast of any of the hotels. We obviously, with a family our size and staying in these hotels, we want a good breakfast. And the Embassy Suites, which we stayed at for 2 nights, had definitely the best breakfast. Although I didn't care for the room as much as I did at the Homewood Suites and the Home 2.
The only benefit is that there was a door that closed between
there was a door that separated the pull-out couch, living area, kitchen from the 2 queen beds in the other room.
And it had I think a microwave and a mini fridge, but I mean that's pretty standard.
Right, in the Homewood Suites we get that as well.
Yeah.
And we've stayed at some Homewood Suites where they have that separation and others where they don't.
Yeah.
Now on the way back from Texas, we stayed at another Hampton Inn and Suites this time, so we had that extra space.
Yeah.
But it was like an aged room. It was aging for sure. I'm gonna move the camera real quick because it looks like the sun's about to hit it. All right, so hopefully that's a little bit better without that sun glare on there. But yeah, we stayed at the Homewood Inn, or the Hampton Inn and Suites. Man, a lot of these hotel names. Hampton Inn and Suites on the way back, and we stayed at that in Albuquerque again.
Yes.
It was the one on Coors Road. Now, my biggest qualm with that one was that it was a little aged.
It was aged.
And the location of it was next door to a trucking yard. And the road to get to it is just lined with semi trucks and things like that. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad area or anything, but it wasn't my favorite place to stay. Certainly with having all of our belongings in the car and things like that, it didn't feel as safe of an area as the other hotels we'd stayed at. And then from there, the hotel we stayed at just last night was in St. George, Utah, and it was the True by Hilton. Definitely my least favorite hotel.
Yeah, I think it was just least conducive to having all of our children there, partially because it had wood floors. So, like, sleeping on a wood floor is like 10 times worse than sleeping on a carpeted floor. And they didn't have a lot of the other things the other ones had that maybe would have made a difference for us. Like, there wasn't a microwave in that room. There wasn't even ice. There wasn't an ice collecting bucket.
Yeah, there was no ice bucket or anything. But like, to me, it was just the cost of that room for what was there in the room. I mean, the quality of everything in the room. The furniture is all like IKEA furniture, and there was very little of that, if any. There, no doors on the closet, and closet is only 6 inches wide anyways. So there's just a lot of things that I looked at and I was like, man, this is, compared to the other places, the other Hiltons we've stayed at, the True, which was a fairly new hotel, was definitely, it felt like an empty dorm room to me, right? Like a college kid's dorm room.
I think it was a bunch of style choices that you just didn't particularly like.
Yeah, I mean, so it didn't fare well for me. I didn't like that one. The breakfast was whatever, but Yeah, that was our hotels. So we stayed at 5 different Hilton brand
yeah.
hotels along the way. The Home 2 suites
Yeah.
being our favorite, Embassy being the second favorite.
Yeah.
I would then put probably the Homewood suites third, and then you have the True and
the Hilton
and the
Hamptons.
Hampton.
I would say the Hamptons are above the True, just because of the it just is what it didn't suit us and what we needed.
Right. I would agree. The Hampton is a little bit above the True, but Hampton, those hotels seem to be getting more aged.
Yeah, for sure.
So they've been around a little bit longer. Now we've also stayed in the past. We've stayed at DoubleTrees, and we've stayed at quite a few DoubleTrees, and I like those. They're fairly decent.
Yeah.
I would rank them, up number 2 or 3 along that.
Yeah, and I think, is that the one that has the 2 burners in the kitchen as well and a full fridge?
Homewood sometimes has 2 burners and the full fridge.
Yeah.
And DoubleTree is the one that gives you a cookie when you check in.
Oh, yeah.
I do all the checking in, so maybe you don't see as many of the cookies.
So yeah, there's just some benefits on like how long your stay is going to be, and if you're eating out or if you're trying to cook in a hotel and different things like that. Just different benefits for different hotels.
And the last thing we want to do is kind of show you what our vehicle really looks like after we travel. We literally got back last night. And we've taken our bags in. We've taken,
Yeah, and we clean out trash basically every
time we stop for gas.
Yeah, and a little bit more of a clean out when we stop for the night, and like when we were at family, I definitely went through and cleaned out a little bit more.
Yeah, so. But to get a realistic view of what the car looks like before it's totally cleaned, and we're gonna take it down to get it completely vacuumed out and go through the car wash a little later today. But let's take a look at the reality of traveling in a van with 8 people. Real quick here, we'll just sneak on into the van. So they're still sitting in here.
The twins decided to come,
This is what it looks like, and the floors are a disaster. The vehicle itself has seen better days inside, and on the outside we also have plenty of dirt and grime, and it's been on the road for 11 days, so we'll go get that taken care of. We do like having a clean vehicle, but that's it. That's our 11-day road trip.
Yep. From
Utah. We're in the Utah Valley, so we're near Brigham Young University, and so we went from here in Utah down to the Woodlands, Texas. That's just outside of Houston, and back up. So that's our trip. That's the entirety of it. Obviously, like, subscribe, share, post your questions, anything that you have to ask us in the comments below. We're happy to answer anything. We did an interview on the side of the road while we were on the way. We did a podcast interview with RV Lifestyle, if you want to go check that out. But definitely, if you have any questions for us, we're happy to answer them. And if you want to leave some hotel reviews, go ahead and leave those as well. Y'all take care.
Thanks for watching.